For Tuesday, August the 3rd. The first thing we will do is adopt our agenda, and I have a couple of changes for you all. At 15A, if you would, please add announce appointment to the Pathways Commission. If you would, at number 8, you can delete number 8. If you would, as we have made these appointments as we've been meeting in budget meetings over the course of the past few weeks, instead of authorize for 10, 11, 12, and 13, and 15, it will be announce appointments to those different boards. At number 14, it will remain authorize appointments. And then at 26A, if you would add, consider supplemental agreement number 2 for changes in landscaping on the East Jackson Streetscape project. Are there any other changes?
No, ma'am, that was all I had.
Anybody else? All right, then with the addition of 15A and 26A and those additional changes and deletion of number 8, do we have a motion to accept the agenda?
So moved.
All in favor? Any opposed? For the past 2 weeks, our board and department heads have been working hard on determining the best uses for your money in the coming year as we work to adopt our fiscal year 2021-2022 budget. We are not considering a tax increase and are finding creative ways to continue to serve our community and meet your level of expectation after a year that honestly has been really tough on our budget. I do want to recognize one of our employees tonight who's on the back row, Matt Davis, who is our Director of Parking. Matt was recognized by the National Parking Association as a top 40 under 40 national award winner, and he will accept that at a conference that you will approve in the consent agenda. He will be going to a conference in a few weeks to accept that award. And, you know, Matt has guided us through paid parking and a new garage, and it is not surprising at all that people across the country are recognizing his leadership. So we are very proud of you, Matt, and thanks for all you do for us. It's no secret that we are seeing a surge in positive COVID cases in our community, and we will address that later on in our agenda, and several other things, projects we have going on will also be addressed in our agenda. So that is it for the mayor's report tonight. I would ask you to authorize the approval of the minutes of the recess meeting on July 20th, 2021, and the regular meeting on July 20th, 2021.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? Ask you to authorize the approval of accounts for all city departments.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? All right, I'll ask you to consider the consent agenda.
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? All right, at this time, I will ask you to approve the 2021-2022 ad valorem request from the Oxford School District. And I know that Superintendent Bradley Robertson is here to make that presentation, so we welcome you to the front, Bradley.
Thank you, Mayor Tannehill, Board of Aldermen.
Absolutely. Glad to have you.
Glad to be here. Glad to be here. I want to be a frequent person and attending these meetings, as I've already expressed to you before. You know, when I was named superintendent of the Oxford School District, I said my number one goal was to transition the Oxford School District from a school system to a school community. Because I think working collectively together that we can continue to do some great things, not only for OSD, but for the city of Oxford. I've had the opportunity to visit with some of you personally, and for those who I have not, I look forward to doing that in the near future, moving forward. With that said, now I'd like to recognize my Chief Financial Officer, Allison Wally.
Awesome. Come on up, Allison. Good to see you.
Good evening. I'm just here to formally present the ad valorem request, which is in your agenda. I've worked with Ms. Atkinson to be sure that the request that I'm submitting does not increase millage. So we're trying to keep everything level as well.
That is great news.
Sure is.
Does anybody have any questions for Allison or Bradley?
I move we approve it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Wonderful. Thank you for the
Thank
good
you.
work you're doing.
Thank you.
All right, number 8 is deleted. Next, we will have a COVID-19 update from Jimmy Allgood.
You've got the handout of the new numbers that came in today for the state. We had 1,574 new cases with 34 deaths statewide. For Lafayette County, we went up to 6,631 new cases, which was an increase, and I didn't put it down on the sheet, by 27, I believe, was the total increase on that. As of 8 a.m. this morning, we have approximately 47% of Lafayette County residents with 1 vaccination, and 43% of the residents have been totally vaccinated. You want to give the hospital numbers, or you want me to give?
Sure, you go ahead.
Okay. For the hospital, we're sitting at staff beds at 181. We have 23 confirmed COVID-19 patients in the hospital. We have 14 available staff beds in the hospital at this time. We have a total of 24 ICU beds, with 8 of those being occupied by COVID-19 patients, with 6 ICU beds available. You can see on the chart, our 7-day case average per day has jumped in the past 5 or 6 weeks from a low of 1.43 to this last week's average was 15.57 new cases per day for our community.
I did speak with Hospital Administrator Bill Henning this morning, and he reported that, of course, those ICU and hospital numbers are changing daily, but he stated that approximately 95% of the COVID patients that have been seen at Baptist Memorial Hospital, North Mississippi, as inpatients or in the ER are not vaccinated. That is 95% of the people who are seeking care at the hospital are unvaccinated. I'm not sure there's a better case for becoming vaccinated than that. He said that they are seeing very few breakthrough cases in vaccinated people. I asked him about pediatric patients. I know that there's been a lot of concern about the number of children who may be exposed. He reported that they have only admitted 1 pediatric patient, although they had seen others. I don't have a number, but that they had seen others in the ER and discharged them to go home. But I think that's probably the most important message that we have for our community, and you've heard it over and over, but we have the weapons in place to protect us as we go through this pandemic, and those are masks and vaccines. And so, you know, that's, I think the best case we can plead is for the community to continue to get vaccinated. I'm encouraged by stories that I've been told by employees and others over the past few days that they went to Kroger to get vaccinated, and that there was a line from the Kroger pharmacy counter all the way back to the checkout lines, that they went to Walgreens to get vaccinated and had to wait 30 minutes because there were so many people in line to get vaccinated. So that is what we continue to encourage everyone to get vaccinated. If you're not vaccinated, wear a mask. And hopefully our community will weather this storm in a more healthy fashion.
And one thing I want to add, the Delta variant, that's the predominant variant right now in the state. It's about 4 times more contagious than the original variants that we were dealing with back in January and also last year. That's one reason the CDC and the state health department has recommended for all K through 12 that regardless of vaccination status of staff, students, and everyone at the school, that they be in mask right now.
That's right.
Because it is so contagious, and we've got that under 12 population in the schools that cannot be protected by mask.
That's
and everything.
right.
So we've got to protect our kids.
We do, and we appreciate a school district that is putting that first. Does anyone have any questions for Jimmy, anything you'd like us to consider or discuss?
Just how accurate are our vaccination numbers?
coming from the Kroger now that we're not doing it at the conference center? How long does that take to get?
They are required to report daily to the state health department.
Okay.
And so we get new numbers each day on the number of
those numbers are
vaccinations.
accurate.
So I'll go back and look, I'll give it a few more days, but see if we see an upward trend on the number of vaccinations per day.
I mean, the good thing, if they're going to Kroger or Walgreens or wherever, they're local residents, they're not coming in from outside the county.
Exactly. And one thing too I want to stress is even though it's Kroger and Walgreens and Walmart, it's no charge for the vaccine. The vaccine is free of charge.
And most have walk-up service, too.
Walk-up
You don't have
service,
to
no
have an
appointment necessary. Yes.
Yeah, so we do encourage you to seek out a free vaccination, knowing that you can just walk in and get it. So, anybody have another question for Jimmy? All right, thank you, Jimmy. Next, we will announce appointments to the Planning Commission. The appointments to the Planning Commission that have been selected by this board over the past few weeks as we've been in work sessions are J.R. Rigby, Judy Riddell, Joseph Murphy, Kirk Milam, David Spraggins, Harry Alexander, and Michael Johnson. At number 11, announce appointments to the Downtown Parking Advisory Committee. Those appointments are Jenna Mason, Sam Patterson, Cindy O'Donnell, Mike Mitchell, Dreer Harris, David Sparks, Tom Sharp, and Corinne Jackson. At number 12, announce appointments to the Courthouse Square Preservation Commission. Those appointments are Andy Phillips, Stuart Poval, Lee Benoit, Amanda Heineman, Dorothy Lorenzo, Taylor Webb, Lori Beth Ellis. That's it, I've written Taylor Webb twice, sorry. I'm like, wait a minute. At number 13, announce appointments to the Historic Preservation Commission. Those appointees are Jolie Nichols, Jack Garner, Blair Hobbs, Lance Butler, Joel Little, Diane Scruggs, Virginia Lukenbach, Luke High School, and Aaron Smith. At number 14, there is one that we need to ask for your authorization, and these are authorizing appointments to the Municipal Reserve and Trust Committee. Those that have been appointed thus far are Jason Bailey, Lawrence Chandler, Bob Dowdy, John Dunbar, Kay Bryant, Joe Paolillo, Rick Addy, and myself, and we have one position. Jason, do you want to make a recommendation?
Yeah, we'll make a recommendation, we add Pat Patterson to the Oxford Reserve and Trust.
Who's he?
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Announce appointments to the Oxford Park Commission Board. Those folks serving on the Oxford Park Commission Board will be Jason Lowe, Don Frugier Jr., Missy Wilson, Allison Kessler, and Chris Bush. And then we added at 15A to announce appointments to the Pathways Commission. Those appointees are John Kofer, Don Fitel, Sumner Abraham, Claude Gunter, Roger Coonley, Will Towns, and Megan Burke. So that is a lot of citizen involvement from folks who, we had a record number of people who sent in letters of interest this time to serve in these different roles, and we very much appreciate that we have folks in our community that want to step up and serve and find ways to make our community better. So the next on our agenda is to discuss the Townie Tuesday program. Matt Davis is coming up. The top 40 under 40, Matt Davis.
So, Mayor, it's come to our expiration date, what we approved it the last time, and just wanted to get the board's wishes on what we would like to do, either terminate the program, extend it, just kind of.
We have done Townie Tuesday, and we had said that we would leave it in place through the summer so that it would be a good day for restaurants to run specials and for shops to have special shopping hours, that kind of thing, and promote the free parking. So we had said that we would discuss it at this first meeting in August, and so what is the pleasure of the board?
I think it's time to return to paid parking on Tuesdays, move forward.
Anybody else have an opinion or
I
question?
mean, I think the numbers we were looking at were 1,500 a day, something like that, so almost $70,000 a year.
And we're
in
seeing
revenue.
everything kind of return to normal, but we're starting to see that trend of employees, people that normally park in off street lots are parking up front, so.
Keep that first and third.
First, except for the first and third Tuesday from five to seven.
Yeah, I think with the students coming
Depending on how
back
long your mayor's report is, right?
as well,
Uh-huh.
so.
All right, so do we have a motion then
Second.
to discontinue our Townie Tuesday program for the time being? We have a motion and second. All in favor? Any opposed? All right, thank you, Matt. Third reading, public hearing and vote on a proposed ordinance amending Chapter 18, Section 18-45 regarding operation of the city animal shelter in multiple sections within the same chapter. We've got Bart and our art director, Nicole Young, here.
How would you like me to do it? We've been through them one by one. I can go, I'll just run back through them real quick.
Yeah, I think that's good.
So, on page run under definitions, you'll see animal control officer being changed to animal resource officer. You'll also see a new definition for impound, means to seize, take possession of, hold in custody. And the animal shelter is now the animal resource center, and it gives the address for the animal resource center. On page 2, under section 18-2, number 4, you'll just see further explanation of under number 4, to deprive an animal of proper food, drink, shade, shelter, and care. That was just a more or less a nomenclature change. You'll see on the next page 3, the addition of number 12, which we've discussed before, which makes it illegal to sell or exchange animals in a public parking lot, a public park. You'll also see a new portion to number 13 there. In the previous readings, we had to abandon an animal at the Animal Resource Center or leave unattended at the city dog park. But we also added to abandon an animal within the corporate limits of the city of Oxford. And the reason for that, as you can imagine, is that we just want to make sure that it is illegal for folks to bring animals from outside the city and dump them in various places within the city, including the Animal Resource Center. Then a change that we discussed before on page 7 about the 10 days rabies hold. Again, on page 8, we've discussed this before. Also, the deletion of chemical capture weapons under the Animal Resource Officer, section 1810A. Then the whole new section 1845 that discusses well, it's not a new section, but it's a reworking of the section that it discusses the operation of the Animal Resource Center, business hours, talks about the uniforms or badges of the employees, makes it illegal to interfere with Animal Resource Center operations, sets out the adoption of animals. You'll also see under section 1846 on the next page, the impoundment, and that just talks about where it is at the Animal Resource Center. You'll also see under B, the same, we've discussed this before, shall be unlawful for any person except the Oxford Police Department or Animal Resource Officer to drop animals off at the Resource Center. And then, again, A, you'll just see a change, under 1847A, you'll see a change from animal shelter to Animal Resource Center. Going on, there's some deletions in there to make the enforcement of the ordinance easier in B, and then under 1848, it talks about the fees. That whole first paragraph is deleted, and then the next sections, A and B, are added, and we discussed these, I think, in length last time. You've also got a new chart that Mark provided for you that talks about what these overall fees are, so you can break them down all through the ordinance so you can see what they are. Under 1849, we talk about the release of unsterilized animals. I don't think there was any changes there from our last reading. I think that's exactly the same as we were during our last reading. Then we talked before about how did we define that immediate threat. If we're giving the Animal Resource Officer the ability to impound an animal that's an immediate threat, what is that immediate threat? And you'll see we added the definition of immediate threat on page 13. The $2 change from $1 to $2 we discussed in length
Right.
before. Determination of a vicious dog. Again, one of the confusions early on was we didn't include the vicious dog, our vicious dog ordinance that we adopted last July. So these next sections include that vicious dog ordinance and make a few changes to it. And I think we read all these changes last time. There's a couple of minor changes in there from, I think we talked about an ordinance summons, this clarifies it into an arrest summons, and clarifies, and again, goes through what the court hearing and proceedings are to determine that dog vicious. We also discussed before under the boarding of a vicious dog that we wanted to add the section that if the court deems the dog not vicious, then none of the fees for impoundment are part of the ordinance, so the owner was not responsible for any fees. I think under 3, the failure to appear in court, we discussed previously. We get to page 17, under 18-81, 1 and 2, and 18-82. Those have been shown as deletions from our first draft. So.
All right, so that is a third reading. This is also a public hearing. Is there anyone who would like to speak regarding these changes to this ordinance? All right, if not, is there anyone on the board that has a question for Bart or Nicole? All right, then is it your pleasure to vote on this proposed ordinance tonight? This is our third reading and another public hearing and a vote if you wish to do so.
I move we approve.
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Thank you, Nicole, for all the work that went into that. Request permission to advertise for a reverse auction for heavy equipment for the Environmental Services Department. Amberlyn?
Good evening. Yes, this will allow us to get all of our information together and put out bids in September for reverse auction for approval, if you wish, in October, after the budget's approved.
All right. Anybody have questions?
No, I'm glad we're getting a jump start.
Yep.
Yes.
We hope.
Is that a motion, Rick?
Motion.
Second.
All right, all in favor? Any opposed? Thank you. Top 40 under 40, coming back up. National permission for the parking director to attend the 2021 National Parking Association Conference, at which conference he will receive, you heard it here first, folks, the Top 40 under 40 National Award on September 26th through the 29th. And bless his heart, he's got to go to Las Vegas at an estimated cost of $3,675. This is the conference that you have attended in the past. And there's one national parking conference, and it happens to be in Las Vegas. Does anybody
It'd be
have?
bad if we decided to cut cost on this one.
Well, they'd have to mail the prize and do a
Move
Zoom
we send it.
presentation.
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? Thank you. First reading of a proposed ordinance amending section 14-100E6, camera systems and requirements. Chief McCutcheon.
This is the alcohol ordinance that we did in 2018. We figured out a loophole as we've been doing camera checks and attempting to write citations. The way our current ordinance is written, you have 30 days from the violation of camera A to get it within compliance before a violation can be written. And it's really just a play on words. We wanted to clean that up, and the reason that we found this, as we would go in and subpoena video, camera A would be out. When we would come back within 30 days, camera A's working, now camera B's out. So what some of them have done is they have a fee of so many cameras in their pool, and they just rotate which ones are working. So the way the new ordinance would be written is, and this is the way we wrote it, if a camera or cameras or their camera recording or operating systems are found to be out of compliance due to placement or functionality, a business shall be deemed in violation of this section. A business then shall have 30 days from the date of such non-compliance before we could give them a second violation. So currently the way it's written,
Can't give them the first one.
you can't even give them the first one until after 30 days.
So this is kind of housekeeping?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Can we move this along any faster?
We gotta have a public hearing.
Well, we'll have to have a public hearing, so,
But could we do public?
but at our
hearing
next
any
meeting, we could do
And
that.
especially with the safety issue, we can.
Coming
Correct.
back to school?
Yeah.
Yep. So at our next meeting, then we will have a second reading, public hearing, and possible vote amending that section. All right, request permission for the Oxford Police Department to apply for the 2021 Homeland Security Grant with no required match.
So this is a state grant, no match. We're trying to get.
Yes, sir. No match, our favorite kind. All right, there are several motions. Could I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? Request permission and authorize the mayor to sign an annual contract with WASP Barcode Technologies for fixed asset tracking and inventory software. Ashley?
Yes, and they have not sent the final contract, so I do not have that available right this second. But attached to the agenda was all the information for it. We try every year with the inventory and fixed assets to get a little better every year and get a little more efficient every year. This will allow us to have an app on an iPad or a phone to immediately pick up these things as we go to a different department. You can change it, you print a barcode, you slap it on there, you have a reader that when you come do inventory the next time, it's very efficient. Tyler does not offer us that right now, so if this turns out to be as amazing as it sounds, we will probably discontinue our Tyler module for fixed assets and go with this. I want to see what kind of reporting it provides before I make that final decision. But as you also in the memo, detailed the cost and how I propose that we pay for it this year and years following.
So I'm assuming the motion we made that where it has to be on with legal consent, I guess, since you don't have the contract.
I was hoping they would get it to me, but they had not. They just given the quote, and I thought I would have it before now, but I did not. If you would, yes, if you would do it with pending council
Why don't we
approval.
say based upon council's approval?
And I'll forward it just as soon as I get it.
I'll make that motion.
Okay.
Sure.
I made that motion.
All right, is there a second? All in favor?
No.
Any opposed?
Thank you.
Consider request for Sunday work by Southern General Contractors for striping at the intersection of South Lamar and University. Brianna?
Thank you. Southern General provides our striping for stop bars, and with all the traffic on University, they would like to do that on Sunday morning early. So I would just ask permission for them to do that this coming Sunday. They'll be done by 9 a.m.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? All right, consider amendment number 4 to decrease the owner-engineer agreement with W.L. Burrell Engineers, PA, by $40,000.
So moved.
Second.
This
Decrease.
It is a decrease, and this item goes with the next agenda item. They're related. This is related to our wastewater treatment plant project and our basin problems that we've had with our sealant. So
we have a motion and second to consider the amendment number 4 decrease. So all in favor? Any opposed? And we'll move along to consider change order number 4 with Maloof Construction for $40,000 for the wastewater
Increase.
plant flow equalization
Well, you can do
project.
this for
We just saved it and spent it all in 2 motions.
Yes.
So moved.
So it is a wash with the 2 items. W.L. Burley Engineering and Maloof Construction are essentially taking over for the subcontractor. They're stepping in and they're going to pay the subcontractor to replace the sealant. Burley is providing it basically because of the impact on the city, and as our engineer, they are contributing. It's 0 cost to the city, so the engineering fees are just going to be transferred over to the construction cost, and it's 0 cost to the city overall.
All right.
Motion.
Okay, is there a motion?
I made it.
Second, all right, all in favor? Any opposed? Update on East Jackson Avenue Streetscape Project.
Yes, yes. So I'm very happy to report that we are substantially complete today. We have achieved our goal of getting the sidewalk and the streets back open ahead of schedule. We were supposed to be complete August 17th, and we are looking to open the road to traffic by Friday for sure. The crews are still working. We could have it open as early as tomorrow to traffic. We still are working. AT&T is out there trying to splice fiber. We're trying to get those overhead poles relocated, so they're splicing some fiber to the federal building. We need to get that done so we can pour back a little bit of concrete. There's some street lights that have to be set tomorrow, a little bit of sidewalk that has to be poured at St. Peter's, but it's possible tomorrow that we open that to traffic again.
And the headline here is that we achieved the goal of getting the sidewalks and the road ready to open to both pedestrian and car traffic by Friday.
Ahead of schedule.
Ahead of schedule.
And under contract price.
Before the students really arrive.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes. So there's a lot of things that there will still be some items that they're going to work on. They're still going to have to do some tree planting. We're still going to do the stamped asphalt, and we've talked about that. I've talked about that in my updates. I guess not talked about it in front of the public here, but our stamped asphalt, we have to wait before we can do that because the asphalt has to cure out. So we're going to do that the 14th through the 17th. The contractor's coming to assess the project this Friday, and he's going to try to work with minimal closures. There will be some impacts the 14th through the 17th, and I'll update on that as we know more. We have this project, we've had to coordinate this project with 4 other construction projects. The federal building, we found out right before I think we started construction that they were doing a complete re-roofing of their project. St. Peter's, of course, that project was well under construction. And then we also had the Mesquite Chop House, which is now Yugo, do a complete interior renovation. St. Leo's has done a renovation. Funky's did a demolition and new construction, and they're still under construction during this. So it's been
There's been a lot going on Jackson Avenue East, guys.
lot
in 3
going on.
blocks. There's
Yes.
been a lot
And
going
it is, and I do want to say, we wouldn't be here, Mark Levy, I don't know if Mark's, anyway, Mark, we wouldn't be here if he hadn't been in it. He had the vision. He keeps me on track for what's actually attractive, and, you know, I'm an engineer, and I want all the straight lines and the, you know, crisp and easy and to the point, and he has to step back and say, no, you know, let's see what we can do to make it Oxford, and he's done that. Kevin McLeod designed this project, designed to completion. Kevin produced it in, see here, Kevin, yes, 6 months from design to completion of the project. And that's, for a project of this scope, it's exceptionally fast. And
for any work.
Kevin, I told y'all when I asked to hire Kevin for this project that I'd never seen him miss a deadline. This one, I was holding my breath.
You thought this would be it?
Yeah, he did it. And Shipman Sloan also was right there with helping with the landscape. Of course, Elliot Britt had 2 guys out every day watching the contractor and helping, and it's been phenomenal. Our contractor, Phillips Contracting, they have worked with all of our other projects going on, and also we've had so many city crews in. It's just been a massive coordination, and I'm going to say the City of Oxford crews have saved the city so much money with their work that they've been able to do. Our street department, our Oxford utilities, water, sewer, electric, and their subcontractor have been on site doing things, building and grounds. Police and fire have been out there trying to help us make things move. Environmental services, it's amazing. And when I tell you that I call some of these department heads and say, hey, listen, I don't know what you thought you were doing today, but is there any way possible I can get you over here in an hour and a half to do this? And they're like, yeah, sure, they drop it and make it happen. And so this project is here because of all of them. So that is where we are. We are just trying to put all the final pieces together so we can get it open, but the public is out there. They are all over the street walking, loving it. It's beautiful. I don't know if you've gotten to see it or not yet. It's
fabulous.
It's more beautiful.
I wish that we had the pictures to show on the screen. I should have done that. Budget meetings today kind of knocked me out of thinking of creative things like that. But we have some drone footage that is fabulous.
Leslie has taken some amazing
before and after
drone footage,
awesome.
And it is. And I'm going to say, I really, again, I don't. How beautiful it is. It's just, and when the trees come in this week, it's going to be more. So. Anyway.
Thank you, Brianna.
Yes, well.
And John, and Greg, and
yes,
Jeff,
and I didn't mention
and
John.
Ben, and Hollis.
That's bad.
Especially you back there on the back row who met the deadline.
So, anyway, but that's where we are. So, we will, next time John Morgan comes to drive down through there, we're gonna let him drive through next time. So, anyway.
You were gonna let me in.
We were paving Friday, and he came through right there at the bank, and so we were trying to figure out, let him do the first ceremonial drive through. So anyway, it's been a big project and
perfect.
So.
Well, at 26A, we have consider supplemental agreement number 2 for changes in landscaping on the East Jackson Streetscape project.
Yes, and this is zero cost. So when we started the project, we started the construction, our landscape contractor notified us that some of the trees are not available. Zero. It's actually actually has a savings to the city. I don't have an exact dollar amount yet because we don't have all the final quantities, but I'm gonna estimate it right now at a savings of $9,000 to the city.
All in favor?
I will just say
Any opposed?
there will be 6 to 9 trees that we're gonna plant later in October.
Because we want
but
them to
Mark-
live.
Yes, but Mark helped us negotiate, and get some better trees. We got a deep water system, deep root watering system. Y'all can tell I'm not a landscaper or a tree person. But he helped us get those things added and some landscaping in exchange, for the changes we had to make. So, thank you for that approval.
Thank you.
Yes. Consider a one-year option for the extension of the lease for RSVP with 1308 North Lamar LLC.
In July of 19, we leased a piece of property for RSVP up on North Lamar. That lease expires August the 31st of this month, August the 31st. There's an option in that lease that gives us a 1 year, gives us provision to extend it for 1 year at the same price, and that's all we're asking you to do.
Move. Second.
All right, all in favor? Any opposed? I would ask the board to consider an executive session.
Move and consider executive session.
All in favor? Any opposed?